Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Cup of Joe with Joe and Joe podcast. I am your host, Joe, and with me, as always, is my wonderful co-host, Joe.
Oh, it's a rainy one today.
It is, in fact, a rainy one. It is storming down on, I know my end. Is it storming on your end, Joe?
Let me check the window.
Checking the window.
It's a bit calmed down right now.
He says it's a bit calmed down right now. I repeat, it is a bit calmed down right now. Yeah, it's pretty on and off for me as well. So if you hear any pitter-patters or a thunderous booming in the background, that would be Mother Nature. So glad to have you on the show. So kind. Thank you very much. Speaking of Mother Nature, Joe.
What a transition.
That is, I didn't even plan that. That just worked so wondrously. I'm patting myself on the back for that one. But today, everyone, we're going to be looking at yet another Tobey Maguire directorial film from Studio Ghibli, of course. My Neighbor Totoro. Joe, since you picked this one, I guess that means I got to do one of those lightning fast recaps.
Yes, you have to do a lightning fast recap for a lightning fast paced movie.
Yes, of course. Okay.
I'm gonna give the count.
Yep, give me the countdown.
I would do. I'm trying to think. Do I know how to say it in Chinese? Let me go back to high school. I think I got it. I'm probably gonna get it wrong. Okay.
Go give it a shot.
San, yi, go!
Okay, so you start off, and it's a nice little, singy-songy sort of a thing. It's whatever. Get into the actual movie. So, you're following a guy, he's kind of driving along, he's got a lot of stuff on a car, and you're all just kind of sitting there being like, what is this man just rob a Macy's? What is happening? And then two little girls come popping out of like the window. They're like, oh, hey, look at that. Oh my God, is that a policeman? Everyone hide. They're like, oh no, it's not a policeman. It's okay. And they come out and they're like, it's a good thing you're not a policeman. We would have thrown shit at you. And the guy's just like, what the fuck is going on? But we don't have time for that. We gotta move on. So these two little girls, Satsuki and Mei, Satsuki being the older sister and Mei being the younger sister, are traveling with their dad to their new home. They didn't rob a Macy's. Oh, boo-hoo, that would have been a more fun premise. Anyway, they get it to their new place. You know, they're moving in because they gotta get the new house, and that way they can be closer to their mom in the hospital. Yeah, it's their mom's in the hospital. So, oh no, so sad, but don't worry, she's okay. She's getting better. So it's basically just following all of their exploits while they're at this new place, you know? Satsuki's going to school, the dad is doing whatever the fuck he does as a professor at the university. I don't know, he's drawing on charts every once in a while, you see him, and whatever. But the real interesting shit happens with Mei, when she starts doing her little adventures, and then she finds a hole in the bush. And kids, whenever you find a hole in a bush, you go through that hole, no matter what. Go through that hole, because then you'll find what Mei finds. It's a big, fluffy teddy bear. That's called Totoro. And this isn't a normal Totoro. No. Or a normal bear. This is a Totoro bear. And this Totoro bear has the ability, number one, to understand human speech. Very important. Number two, he can make trees grow very, very quickly. And number three, he's got a motherfucking beyblade that can fly, baby. And I mean, like, oh my, this guy is just, he's a stud. He's got everything you'd ever want in anyone. So, you follow the adventures of these two little girls as they're just kind of like, living their daily lives, seeing what's going on. And then also, this weird, owl bear thing is just kind of like helping them out with a couple of different things. They're helping them make some trees grow at one point, doing a weird little seance dance. A cat bus shows up once or twice, I think like twice, and that thing's really cool. I think it can read your mind. It's really weird. It's got like laser eyes. It's fucking sick. And also, a child goes missing for a little bit, and that part isn't really too much fun. That's actually very nerve-wracking, but we'll get into that a little bit later. So, yeah, that one was a lot all over the place. I'm gonna be honest. My brain was freaking out.
Joe, I gotta be honest. I think that was your best one.
You think?
I think it was great. To the point. Good amount of whimsical fun in there. A little bit of seriousness. And you got the story down pat. I mean, there's really nothing much to it after that. It's You did a good job. I'm proud of you.
Thank you. I was most proud of working in another Beyblade bit. I just like talking about Beyblades.
That's going to be what the podcast is in a couple weeks. We're strictly a Beyblade podcast now.
Dude, Beyblade anime, I haven't revisited it. I'm sure it's terrible, but my god, nostalgia is a powerful thing, you know.
I very vague memories of it. I never watched it as serially as like Yu-Gi-Oh or Pokemon, where it was like, oh my god, it's Saturday morning, I gotta watch this. It was more like, oh, I'm down the shore, let's see what's on 4Kids. Beyblade has a TV show? Okay, I'll watch this.
Oh, look at that spinning top. We're not here to talk about Beyblades. Totoro.
Okay.
Let's get back on track.
So, this is our third Studio Ghibli film that we're talking about. We talked about, oh my goodness, what's the one with the
Only
woman?
Yesterday and Princess Mononoke.
Okay, thank you. Whew, I looked like an idiot there. You saved me. We talked about Only Yesterday, which we're not going to talk about it. And then Princess fucking Mononoke, which is amazing. It's a 10 out of 10. I love it. I have a tattoo of San. Of course I love it. But so two very, very different films. One very much like fantastical, a lot of like crazy stuff happening, a lot of action, and then the other one's like slice of life stuff. And now here we kind of hit it in between, kind of.
Yeah, it's a bit of a merging of the two sides, if you will.
Yes. This movie's about an hour and a half long. It came out in 1988, and this is one of Studio Ghibli's first films. They had Castle in the Sky, they had Nausicaa, and a couple other stuff with Takahata. But this movie was real big because of my man Totoro, and just not just the fact of the movie, but the fact of the amount of money this place made off of toys of Totoro. I remember watching a documentary, Joe. They're like, yeah, once we came up with the design, we're like, oh, all the toys we're gonna sell.
They knew immediately. They're like, okay, so what is this character design? All right, so it's an oval. Then you put two triangles on top of that oval, and then you put two ovals under those triangles, but inside the oval for the eyes. Bada bing, bada boom. You got yourself an award-winning design that kids everywhere are going to want to squeeze the ever-loving shit out of.
And people love it so much, it is Studio Ghibli's mascot. Totoro is the mascot. And they have a lot of mascots to choose from. So picking Totoro, I mean, I feel like, at least when I got in, kind of recognized what Studio Ghibli was, I was thinking, oh man, Totoro's got to be like the best one. Like it's got to be like their most popular one. But I gotta say, I don't think this is their most popular one. I think Spirited Away is probably the most popular.
I'm not gonna say which I think is their most. I'm not gonna say which is my favorite. I think Spirited Away probably is the most popular Ghibli film at this point. But I'm with you where it's like Totoro is by no means my favorite Ghibli film. I don't even know if it's top 5 for me. I would need to do a real comprehensive list going into that, but I feel like I'm getting ahead of myself and like ranking stuff already before actually discussing anything in here. So let's start with the three main characters, like the family. Let's start with the dad, which his name I don't know, and then Satsuki and Mei. What are your thoughts on those guys?
Well, Joe, do you know who voices Satsuki and Mei?
It's their sisters, and one of them played the girl that I had a crush on in Super 8, Dakota Fanning and Ellie Fanning. Yes,
yep, it's the Fanning sisters.
Yes,
which is crazy because this is freaking 1988. This is when it was filmed, so they had to be super young for this.
They were so young because I'm pretty sure Ellie Fanning is the one in Super 8, and she's like a teenager in that one. So like hearing her voice, I'm pretty sure she's the voice of Mei because she's the younger one. And hearing her voice coming out of that, I was like, Jesus Christ, that's young.
Yeah.
Also, Mei's voice annoys the shit out of me.
Well, I believe Mei's supposed to be 3 years old.
I think she's 4.
3 or 4.
Is what? Yeah, she's like she's 4, and then everyone. This is when she disappears, and Satsuki is like, "Have you seen a 4-year-old?" And I'm just like, "She's 4? What the fuck?"
Yeah. It's interesting the way he portrays ages. specifically Miyazaki. Like I didn't realize that until I looked at like the Studio Ghibli art book, and I was like reading through it for Totoro, and they had like all of the characters of their initial drawings of like their age, height, and weight, and all that stuff. And I think Satsuki's supposed to be like 9 or 10. I think she's 10. Um,
Hmm.
and it's like holy shit. I'm like these. I thought May was like 8 years old.
Yeah, no, I thought she was in the realm of somewhere between like, yeah, 6 and 8. I'd say is where I put her, and then Satsuki, I was somewhere like I think she's a preteen is what I thought initially. I'm like, if you're like between 10 and 12, I could believe any of those. It's very funny though seeing the difference in just how they move and act. Specifically, the first time I noticed it was when they were coming out of the van to go see their new house. Scottsky does some fucking gymnastic like roll out of the window and like
Yeah.
perfect
Yup.
parallel legs and shit. And then whatchamacallit, May is just trying to like get herself up over the goddamn lip and just be like, I'm gonna get it. Hang on. Here we go. There we go. And then falls out the window.
Yeah, yeah. Satsuki is very much like the 10-year-old who's trying to fill in for her mom's absence and be an adult, even though she's a child. Um,
Mm.
and it definitely, she's trying to be emotionally mature too, especially with like later on with them getting a phone call about like, oh yeah, your mom's not coming home. Actually, she got sick again, and she kind of breaks down from it because I mean she's 10. She should break down from that. She's
She
not like
wants her mother.
exactly. So she's very much the one that's trying to be the female power role. May is a freaking goofball. She is like even you see it in their movement. She's super clumsy. She wants to be like Satsuki though, and she's definitely the younger sister where it's like, oh, I want to be like my sister. And she's just a goofball. She even when Satsuki leaves for school the one day, and actually she whenever Sasuke leaves for school, she either bothers her dad with like, "Okay, dad, you're working. I don't care. We're gonna do this." And I mean, she's a 4-year-old. It makes sense. And then even when she gives Granny a hard time and forces Granny to bring her to Satsuki school.
Yep. Which is so strange. Like I have a note from that because it's I don't find it strange that May would act like that. I kind of find it understandable because again, Satsuki is kind of filling in for that like motherly role, and May obviously wants to be with her, but all the schoolmates when Satsuki raises her hand, she's like, "Teacher, I think I need to go outside. My sister is out there," and then all the students are just like, her sister. What the fuck? Her sister? What? Oh, it's her sister. Oh my god! I'm like, have none of you ever heard of a goddamn? Have you? None of you ever seen a sibling before? Why is everyone so infatuated with this person's sister? What is this?
I think, yeah, I don't know. I interpret it as like, oh, it's like a small town. Oh my goodness, her sister's here. Something, what went wrong? I don't know. It is funny where it's like, oh my god, calm the fuck down, guys. But
Yes, it's just a smaller human being. You've seen them before. Trust me, they're not that. They're not anything to Gakko. It's just a tiny person.
yeah, so these two girls are definitely sisters, but very different personalities. And then the dad, I like the dad a lot. I love how laid back he is. And he's just not like a male role. He really is a dad, especially with the way he talks to them and kind of looks at his daughters. Like, I don't know, there's just little things. Even when, May does the little like flower shop thing, like, oh, you be the flower shop. Like, instead of getting mad and being like, hey, I have to work, he just kind of picks up the flowers and smiles and rolls with it. Or when they're talking about the haunted house and they're running around crazy, he talks about how he'd love to be in a haunted house. I
Mm.
love the bath scene during the storm where he acts like a complete goofball and starts laughing. That's one of my favorites.
Just laugh and you won't be scared anymore. And I remember when I first saw that, I was like, this is weird. But after seeing it a couple more times, I'm just like, nah, yeah, I get it. This is, he's just trying to over exaggerating it to try and make them feel better about it and all that sort of stuff. And I'm just like, yeah, that's cool. It also gives me so many shades of Castle in the Sky, like the way he's animated when he's doing that big laugh. I can't help but think of the pirates in Castle in
Yep.
the Sky and the way
Hmm.
they act. I'm just like, yeah, that's Ghibli right there.
Yeah, yeah, no, I completely know what you're saying. So I really like him. He plays a good dad. He's not just the male figure. He's actually a dad.
Hmm.
And the other thing, so I wanted to get your opinion on, Joe. What So what do you think about the house that they live in, and just like the setting that that the movie takes place in?
Right. I like the setting. Like, I think it's so beautiful and so serene. It reminds me a lot of when I was. Now I'm going to get into some of my traveling history here, Joe. But when I was a traveling man, and I went to Ireland, and there was a couple of times where we stayed in some areas where it was just like all this like lush greenery around us, and like you're the only house for like a little bit, and then you'd have to take these walks through like different like farmlands to get to where you were going, and that stuff was always really cool. And like this setting, same sort of stuff, and I like all the outside stuff. I really like the house. Number one, the outdoor pavilion area that's gonna fall down with the slightest touch of a tiny child. I don't like that. Number two, there's obviously no AC because there are several scenes where they sleep with all the doors open because it's such a hot night, and that would be a nightmare for me. So no, thank you. But the scenery, mwah, love it. The house, I could do with some AC, but that's just me.
So I love this house so much, even when I was younger, which is something I want to get into because I can't really remember the first time I saw this, but we'll bring that up later. But I love this house. I absolutely adore it. Just like when you get the first shot of the outside of it, I was like, oh my God. I'm like, it's big. It reminds me of a farmhouse, but like Japanese style. And the way they're running around it, like I mean, they're little kids and they're excited to move into a new place and they're checking all the doors, going everywhere, and how it has that like kind of rustic feel. And yeah, it does look like it's pretty damn old. The fact that there's a well, the tub, all the greenery around it, the big camphor tree, and the fact
Yes.
that the time period is also really interesting in this. I forget what it is that Miyazaki commented on because he didn't give an exact time period. I think it's supposed to be like the either the late 70s to early 80s. Maybe I think it's in the 70s because he's like it's kind of timeless where it's like you get enough like rustic feel where you're on the countryside and people still have to do like you're doing manual labor, you're kind of disconnected from everything, you're kind of off the grid, but you still have cars and like machinery, and you're able to go to
Yeah.
like they're able to call the dad and actually go to the
Right. They
university, and
have
they're
telephones and
yeah,
stuff like
yeah.
that.
It's
So.
not completely like what Mononoke, where it's like feudal times, but it's also not modern times. And so I love everything aesthetically about this movie. Specifically, I love the house. I love the actual setting of it kind of being on the countryside, but not super rural where it seems like they're in Bumblefuck. Because like I said, they make connections at like the fact that there's a bus, they can go to the university and all this stuff, and it all seems like okay, yeah, we got our own space where we can kind of be by ourselves, but we're not completely disconnected from society. And I don't know, every time I watch this, I just think, damn, I would love to live in that house. But that's just me.
Yeah, I would love to live in that area, but I would like a bit more of an updated house. But again, that's just me. Um, okay, moving on to I I have to mention this here because I don't know how else to weave it in organically, but it's just staring me in the face because it's in all caps in my notes right here. May murdered. May is a murderer. Okay, she is. She gets into that house. She climbs up those stairs with Satsuki, and they get up there, and Satsuki's like, I'm going to go down and help because the dad and the movie guy just dropped something. And then May is just like, oh, there's a soot spirit, and fucking crushes it. She's like, oh, but you just fucking killed it. And she runs around all gleefully because she's just like, look, I caught the thing, I caught the thing. And then she opens her hands, and it's just dust. It's just the blood of the spirit on her hands. She killed it, Joe.
Oh my goodness. Yes, yes, no. I think that is hilarious, especially how happy she is. She's like, oh yeah, I got a big one. And she opens her hands, she's like, motherfucker, I look like a goddamn coal miner.
Mm-hmm. And then I also love the fact that like when Satsuki does go to school, and then when May is doing her own thing, and then she first sees the spirits, and the spirits like running away from her, and she's just chasing after it. Two things about that. Number one, I got so many shades of the frog character following No Face around from Spirited Away. I'm like, the like because already May looks very frog-like with just the way like she's drawn and the way like she moves around, frog like she hops and all that sort of stuff. And I was like, what the? This is weird. And then also, I just couldn't get out of my head the idea because again, I already established I was like, well, May's a murderer. She already murdered a spirit earlier. Um, like the spirits would be so fucking frightened of her because she's just laughing and they don't understand and she's just chasing them and they're like, get the fuck away! It's a demon! Run away! Ah! He's trying to get away from her.
Small Totoro and medium-sized Totoro were like, "Oh shit, the gig is up. We gotta bounce.
We gotta go. We gotta go. We gotta go."
Oh yeah, I find that scene very funny, especially their faces, because they're like, "We have no clue what this little human is going to do to us."
Mm-mm. We've already witnessed this little human murk one of our own. We're not going to be the next victims. Not us. We're getting the fuck out of here. We're getting to Big Totoro who's going to eat this bitch. And Big Totoro just kind of befriends her, and they're like, "No, Totoro, you've betrayed us. Why?"
Okay, Joe. So I want to talk about this story.
Yeah.
It's super simple. It's basically not even there.
Yeah.
It's about these two kids and their dad moving into the countryside in order to be close to their mom, who is in a hospital. She's sick, not specified what, but she's in the countryside looking to get better. And they move into this new house. They discover that the Totoro lives in the forest nearby, and he appears to be like a forest spirit. Or at least that's what their dad calls him. And it's just kind of about their adventures with Totoro, and it's kind of fun, lighthearted, pretty cool. And then the only like quote unquote drama or like inciting incident, I guess, or climax, I use so many terms for that, was they end up having Satsuki and Mei have a big fight because their mom can't come home when they thought she would, and they yell at each other. And Mei's like, you know what, screw it. I'm a corn delivery boy. I'm a traveling lady, and she grabs her corn and she thinks, I'm gonna walk to that damn hospital. I'm gonna give my mom some corn, which sends obviously everybody into a frenzy, being like, holy shit, the 4-year-old disappeared. And for a good like 10 minutes, you're like, oh my god, did May actually die? Because they hint like, oh my god, we found a sandal in the river. You're like, holy shit. But she didn't. She just got lost, and she's like, damn, this walking shit's hard. And, Cat Bus shows up. Totoro's like, okay, yeah, I got you, Satsuki. Let's go find her. They end up finding her. They stop to see their mom. She's okay. And the 10-minute/15-minute drama is resolved very quickly and very easily. But besides that, there's nothing really special about this movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the thing. When I started watching this movie, Joe, I was just kind of like, okay, so it's pretty much just a slice of life sort of a thing. Because again, I'd seen this once before when I saw it with you, and I think that's the only time I've ever seen this movie. I watched it with you, and that was my first time, and I was like, cool. Not really for me, because again, I'm more of the Princess Mononoke, Castle in the Sky, Spirited Away, like the much more action or adventure-esque kind of stuff is my sort of Ghibli, my sort of movie feel.
Your jam.
The slice of my jam, exactly. And then my jelly, which is what I don't really jam with all too much because it's jelly, is the slice of life stuff, which as we saw with Only Yesterday, which I gave like, I don't know, a 4 out of 10, a 5 out of 10, I don't fucking remember. I didn't like it. I was like, I recognize it's good, I don't really like it. This, I'm around the same theme because I'm very much like, this is cute and all, but also it's not really for me. But there are just like the little things of actual bit more like adventurous sort of stuff, like that bit of drama at the end where everyone's kind of running around trying to find May, and so that's when you get Totoro flying into action a bit more, and Cat Bus swinging on in. Cat Bus has balls, by the way, if you never noticed that when it's jumping down. It's got a little sack.
I'm aware. I've noticed.
Okay.
Studio Ghibli surprisingly Studio Ghibli's a big fan of scrotums. If you weren't aware, Joe.
Pompoko. God, that movie's such a fucking fever dream. But And then the what you call it? I think my favorite scene is when they're doing the tree dance and Totoro and his
Oh,
two little spirits, and
so
then the
cool.
girls are out there and they're just making the trees grow and they all morph together and they become this one massive tree. And the dad's oblivious, but you're not really sure if like is he actually oblivious or is this just something that happened
Hmm.
in their dreams or something like that. You don't really know, which is kind of cool. But like that, I think that's my favorite scene because it also has the Beyblade bit in it where he goes flying up around the tree, and I'm just like, oh, this is great.
And they played the ocarina in that scene too, or at least
They
tried
do,
to.
but badly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I completely, yeah, I get what you're saying. Definitely not for everybody. Like for me, having just watched Train to Busan, I was like, okay, I need something lighthearted. It's been
I
raining
need
all
a
the time over
palate
here.
cleanser.
It's summertime. Yeah, yeah. I'm very much like, um, I would say like more than I'd say like 75% of the time when I want to watch a movie, it's usually I want it to be relaxing. I
Mm.
don't want I almost want something where I can kind of turn my brain off. And for Totoro, I know like I can throw this on and I can just chill out. I can just throw it on. I can sit in my basement. I can watch it, and it's just nice. It's relaxing to watch. I Other thing I wanted to mention, I really enjoy the music and the songs, especially the Totoro song, like all that stuff. I really enjoy that. Um,
Mm.
but yeah, this is definitely more my peanut butter, my jam in a positive way, where it's like laid back. It's got a pretty simple story, and like I won't watch this all the time. And there's times where I put this on and I just put it on in the background while I'm doing stuff. Which I oh my goodness, Joe, when we were in New Zealand, I did that so much since New Zealand Netflix has these. I would just like
Hmm.
do homework and be like, okay, I'm throwing Totoro on in the background. Um, so this is definitely good for me. I recognize that like it's nothing special. Like it really isn't. It's just a simple slice of life story with a pretty cool character that Miyazaki came up. It's heartwarming. It's nice. I would say it's timeless. It's fun, but it doesn't reinvent the wheel. It's nothing special. Which is funny because my favorite Studio Ghibli movie is Princess Mononoke, which is a completely less gory movie than this.
Yep.
So Joe,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. So when we saw this together, we saw it in theaters. It
Did we?
was Yeah, Joe. Come on, man. You don't remember this? So it's fall of 2019, and Joe and I had just moved into our apartment,
Mm.
and we're starting the fall semester. This is our one of our last semesters at school before we go abroad to New Zealand. It's pre-pandemic, and
This is pandemic year -1.
yes, yes, and it's Ghibli Fest. It's been Ghibli Fest all summer. They're starting to wind down. I think the last one happens in October. And I'm like, oh shit! I'm like, they're doing like My Neighbor Totoro during like the first week of school, and we don't have classes yet. And I remember we got a big group of us together, and we went, and we took two cars. It was you, Paul, I believe, Rain, and who else? Shirley might have came. I know Colleen came with me, and we had like maybe like 7 or 8 people go to see Totoro, and like half of them had never seen it before.
Oh. I do remember this now. Okay, I don't know why I was picturing I was in your basement with you just watching. It was probably Palm Poker that just like infected all the parts. That movie is gonna it's gonna rot at all the other brain cells it's touching.
I'm so
It's
happy
bad.
you can associate the Snyder cut with that movie. I'm forever happy you will be never
God
able to
damn it.
separate them. But so that Joe, that I was really surprised to find out that was your first time watching it. I remember you saying that,
Mm.
because I was talking with Paul this past weekend. 'Cause we went to a Phillies game together, and I was like, oh, like wasn't that your first time seeing Totoro? And he kind of like golfed at me. He goes, "Who do you think I am?" And he's like, "I've seen it like 10 times." I'm like, "Okay, sorry, it must have been Joe."
All
then."
right, fuck you, Paul.
So I'm like, "Oh yeah, that was probably Joe's
Where's your
first time."
podcast, Paul? Where's Paul with Paul and Paul? Where are all the Pauls, Paul?
Exactly.
Fuck you, Paul.
And I was like, okay, it was probably Joe. And then I thought back to him like, oh yeah, we did talk about that. That was his first time
Hmm.
seeing it. And Joe, I can't remember the first time I watched this.
It's always been with you.
It's really weird. Like I'm pretty good at remembering like the first time I saw movies. But this one, I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, did I see it in? I don't think I saw it in theaters. I think this is what I think happened. If I'm like 50% right. This is the correct memory. I think I'm like, I think I'm 16, and I think I have my driver's license. And one of my things that I think I've mentioned this before in the podcast. Maybe I just talked to you about it. My favorite things to do on the weekend back when I was in high school, and like I would have like soccer on like a
Yes.
Saturday morning, and then it would be like, okay, I'm gonna wake up, after soccer, and I'm going to pack up my bag, and I'm going to drive to Barnes and Nobles. I'm gonna look at books. I'm gonna look at manga. I'm gonna go into the FYE. I'm gonna look at movies and all this other nerdy stuff. Pick out some Studio Ghibli stuff. I'm gonna go to the record store. I'm gonna get coffee, like all of the Joe stuff that you can imagine. I would just do in a day, and I would put headphones on, and I'd listen to music, listen to whatever, and I'd go do that. And so I'm pretty sure I had bought My Neighbor Totoro when I was like maybe 15 or no, when I was 16 because I drove. And I was like, oh man, I'm like I don't think I've actually ever seen Totoro, even though I had seen like Castle in the Sky before and Spirited Away and all those other ones and Nausicaa. Yeah, I saw Nausicaa before My Neighbor Totoro. It's pretty funny. And I think what happened was I bought it because I have a Blu-ray of it, and I think I watched it at home by myself. I think that's what happened, but that could just be a fake memory that I put in my head.
Well, when it comes out that that wasn't actually what happened, be sure to make a Twitter and then apologize profusely for your false allegations whenever that happens.
Don't cancel
Cool
me.
though. Yeah. Gets canceled for misremembering first time they saw My Neighbor Totoro.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. But even then, like even though I don't have, even though I can't remember first time I saw this, this is another nostalgic movie. I'd say a large majority of Studio Ghibli movies have a sense of nostalgia to them, not just because like we've seen them before when we were younger, but the actual aesthetic of them, I would say,
Yeah.
gives it kind of like, oh, childhood, summertime, like simpler times, and like it's very much like trying to encapsulate something like that.
Yeah, definitely. Just the style of a lot of those like pre-2000s Ghibli films. There's something about just looking at them and just hearing them. It's just nostalgic in general. So yeah, that's always interesting.
Well, Joe,
All
you got
right.
anything else you want to
Yes.
say about this?
I don't think so. I was just going through my notes. Cat Bus has balls. Yup. The Beyblade bit. Already got it. Oh, all the rain scenes. Very pleasing. I
Oh
love
yeah,
all of them. And Murders of Soot Sprite. Yeah, I think that's pretty much everything that I had that I wanted to go through.
you really hit the high points of the movie.
Yes. Beyblades, murder, balls. What more could you want?
It's oh my god, that's a terrible subscription description of My Neighbor Totoro. Jesus Christ. Okay, well, I'm gonna give my rating for this.
Okay.
I give it a 7 out of 10. It's a Ghibli movie. It's My Neighbor Totoro. It's simple. It's easy to watch, but it's nothing special. Doesn't reinvent the wheel. I enjoy watching this, and I will. If somebody every day asks me, "Hey, you want to watch Totoro?" I will always say yes. So that's my view.
Yeah, I'm gonna give this a 6 out of 10. It is a step above average, I'd say, just because it is Ghibli, and I'm just like, goddamn, it's just always great watching a Ghibli film. But it's not for me. And even saying that, I'm just like, yeah, there are probably some better ones out there that you could watch too that are better for you anyway. But this one's always a solid, reliable thing if you ain't got nothing else or whatever. So that leads us to next week's, which is picked by moi and Joe. This is going to be another. This is going to be a more recent film, something that kind of came out in the last couple of months here. I feel like it's only been a couple of. It might even be close to a year at this point. I don't fucking remember. It's a Nolan film, Joe. A
Is it?
Christopher Nolan film.
Ooh, ooh, ooh. Okay. Say it.
Tenet.
Good. See, okay. This is the type of like quote unquote action movie that I would probably be like, okay, I want to go see that. So
Mm.
I'm happy you picked this because, in all honesty, I probably just with the whole release of it and COVID, all that crazy stuff, I probably would have never watched it. But now I'm like, cool, because I'm a very big Inception fan. When I was younger, it was like my favorite movie growing up until I watched With Honors.
Mm.
So, and I know it's not exactly Inception, but it's Nolan. You get a pretty similar vibe from his stuff.
Yes, and indeed. So I'm excited to see this. I've heard some stuff about the audio, so I'm gonna keep my ear attuned to that sort of crap. Might even have to have subtitles on. Don't know, but yeah, it's been a while because like the last thing he made was Dunkirk, correct?
I believe so. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and I did see that. So I'm excited to see this and just take in all the auteur filmmaking. But yeah, you have anything else to add?
I do not. Just go watch a Ghibli film. It doesn't have to be My Neighbor Totoro. Watch something. You'll find you can. If you've never watched anime before, I can assure you, you will find a Ghibli film that you enjoy. My girlfriend, that my ex girlfriend who came with us to this movie, had never seen a Ghibli film before, but really enjoyed this. So I don't know. I mean, and there's other people too. Even my mom has seen stuff like this, and she's like, "Oh, this is adorable," and I'm like, "I know." So watch some damn Ghibli movie. They're fucking cool.
Watch a damn Ghibli movie. Exactly. And with that, we shall say the YouTube mantra of please make sure leave a like, subscribe, leave a comment, all that wonderful, beautiful shizniz. Watch a Ghibli film. Thank Tobey Maguire for all of his hard work in the lands of the Ghibli animation. This is a bit that new people aren't gonna fucking understand, but yeah, we love you. We'll leave you, everyone, and goodbye.